Hi students, good morning. Today we are going to learn a new chapter, The Age of Industrialization. In 1900, a popular music publisher, E.T. Paul, produced a music book that had a picture on the cover page announcing the dawn of the century. At the center of the picture is a goddess like figure, the angel of progress, bearing the flag of a new century. Her flight is taken her into future. Floating about, behind her are the signs of progress, railway, camera, machines, printing press, and factory. This glorification of machines and technology is even more marked in a picture which appeared on the pages of a trade magazine over 100 years ago. It shows two magicians. The one at the top is Aladdin from the Orient, who built the peaceful palace with his magic lamp. The one at the bottom is the modern mechanic who, with his modern tools, weaves a new magic, build bridges, ships, towers, and high-rise buildings. Aladdin is shown as representing the East and the past. The mechanic stands for the West and modernity. In this chapter, we will look at the history by focusing first on Britain, the industrial nation, and then India, where the pattern of industrial change was conditioned by colonial rule. Now we are going to analyze the first chapter before the Industrial Revolution. It has mainly included the 3 points: the proto-industrialization, the coming up of factories, and also the pace of industrial changes. The proto means the early period. What do you mean by the proto-industrialization? The production of the international market not based on factories is known as the proto-industrialization. During that period, guild system restricted any new entry in production. In 17th and 18th centuries, the merchants turned to the countryside for expanding their production. In the countryside, poor peasants and artisans began working for merchants. Cottagers and poor peasants who had earlier depended on common lands for their survival, gathering their firewood, berries, vegetables, hay, and straw, had to now look for alternative sources of income. Many had tiny plots of land which could not provide work for all members of the household. So, when merchants came around and offered advances to produce goods for them, peasant household eagerly agreed. By working for the merchants, they could remain in the countryside and continue to cultivate their small plots. Income from proto-industrial production supplemented their shrinking income from cultivation. It also allowed them a fuller use of their family labor resources. This proto-industrial system was thus part of a network of commercial exchanges. It was controlled by merchants and the goods were produced by a vast number of producers working within their family farms, not in factories. At each stage of production, 20 to 24 workers were employed by each merchant. This means that each clothier was controlling hundreds of workers. Next, we are going to analyze the next topic, that is coming up of factories. Earliest factories in England came up by 1730s and it increased in the late 18th century also. Cotton became a symbol of the new era. Series of inventions increased the efficiency of each step of production process. In the early 19th century, factories increasingly became an intimate part of the English landscape. So visible were the embossing new mills, so magical seemed to be the power of new technology. Their contemporaries were dazzled. They concentrated their attention on the mills, almost forgetting the bylines and the workshops where production still continued. Next, we are going to analyze the pace of industrial change. The pace of industrial change mainly concentrate on the 4 points. The first one is that the cotton and metal industries became dynamic. Second one is that the new industries could not replace the traditional industries. The third one is that the pace of change in the traditional industries was not set by steam powered cotton or metal industries, but they didn't remain entirely stagnant either. Ordinary and small innovations were seen in food processing, building, pottery, glasswork, furniture making, etc. The technological change occurred slowly was the fourth reason. New technology was expensive with costly repair. Therefore, the machines often broke down and repair was very costly. Next, we are going to analyze the second chapter, the hand labor and steam power. The hand labor means human labor. First of all, we are going to analyze the human labor. There were no shortage of human labor in Victorian Britain. The seasonal demand for labor was also occurred. Wide range of products produced by hand. The upper class people only preferred the hand produced things. Handmade products symbolized refinement and class, better and careful finishing. But the countries with the labor shortage keen on using the mechanical power. Next, we are going to check about the life of workers. Hundreds of people tramped to cities for work. The possibility of job mainly depended on the network of friendship and relations. Many people were waited for weeks and stayed under the bridges or in night shelters. The seasonality of work also made the situation more worse. Miserable conditions were also occurred in cities. The increased wages couldn't match with the price rise. The fear of unemployment was also arised. Hostility to the introduction of new technology was another main issue. During this time, a hostility to the introduction of new technology was also arised. Employment opportunities opened up only after 1840. After the 1840s, building activity intensified in the cities, opening up greater opportunities of employment. Roads were widened, new railway stations came up, railway lines were extended, tunnels dug, and also the rivers were also embanked. The number of workers employed in the transport industry doubled in the 1840s and doubled again and again in the subsequent 30 years. Next, we are going to analyze the third chapter, the industrialization in colonies. This chapter mainly deals the three topics. The first one is the age of Indian textiles. The Indian silks and cotton dominated the international market during that period. India had a vibrant sea trade through the Surat and Hooghly. Indian merchants and bankers involved in export trade network. European companies broke this network by securing concessions and monopoly rights to trade. The old ports of Surat and Hooghly were declined during this time. Credit dried up and bankers became bankrupt. Bombay and Calcutta ports were also flourished on this time. Next, we are going to analyze what happened to weavers. When the East India Company faced competition from French, Dutch, and Portuguese, the East India Company developed a system of management and control to eliminate competition, to control prices, and to ensure regular supplies. They appoint the gumastas to supervise viewers and also to collect supplies and examine the quality. They adopted a system of loans to the viewers to prevent them dealing with other buyers. The clashes between the viewers and gumastas were natural. The viewers in Karnataka and Bengal deserted the villages. Next, we are going to check the Manchester comes to India. The beginning of the 19th century marked the decline of Indian textile exports. The imposition of import duties on Indian textiles to protect Manchester goods. They imposed the import duties on Indian textiles to protect Manchester goods. The collapse of Indian export and they shrink into local market. Indian viewers couldn't compete with the Manchester imports. American Civil War gave impetus to Indian raw cotton exports. The Indian viewers starved for good quality cotton. The factory production also began in India during this time. Now our chapter come to an end. I hope all of you understood the points very well. I am expressing my sincere thanks to all of you who watched this whole video. Thank you. Thank for all. Bye.